Chapter 60:36. Bill was silent for a moment and said helplessly, "Okay, Mr. Rothschild, give me some time and I'll have someone prepare for data migration. After the migration is completed, this data center will be yours." Simon was satisfied and said with a smile, "Oh, Bill, God bless you, so I do too." Bill said helplessly, "Thank you for your blessing, Mr. Rothschild." Simon smiled, "Come to the Rothschild Manor at 7 o'clock in the evening. I will treat you to a meal." Bill said without thinking, "Okay, Mr. Rothschild, I will be on time for the appointment." A few minutes later, in the Rothschild family meeting room. All members of the Rothschild family have arrived. And the seats on both sides of the more than 10-meter-long conference table are full. Only the exclusive seat of the first patriarch is still empty. Behind the seats on both sides, there were 2 circles of temporary small benches. Because the heads of all the collateral families were also present. At this time, the conference room was full of people. The direct members of the Rothschild family at the conference table were chatting happily. Only Steve and his son were a little depressed. While the representatives of the collateral families behind them were all chatting happily, whispering among each other in low voices. They didn't know what happened to the Rothschild family in the past 2 days. And they didn't know what the old man's purpose was in calling them all here. Most of these collateral families have foreign surnames. But some have the surname Rothschild. However, all collateral families with the surname Rothschild are basically brothers or cousins of Simon. And those with foreign surnames, most of them were people with foreign surnames who married women from the Rothschild family and then pledged allegiance to Rothschild. These collateral families, they had almost no opportunity in the past to come to the Rothschild family estate and attend high-end meetings organized by Simon. After all, Simon is the patriarch of the family. He usually has almost no direct contact with these collateral families. The collateral families usually interact with some professional managers of the Rothschild family. Even Steve is not one of them. There was a sudden meeting here today. And all the members of the collateral family were wondering whether Simon was going to pass on the position of patriarch to his eldest son today. However, what made them so gossipy was that the eldest son Steve seemed to be the only unhappy person in the room. The other being his eldest son Royce. It stands to reason that if he were to succeed as the clan leader today, they would be the happiest or the only 2 happiest people here. So looking at this situation, today's meeting should not be a good thing for Steve. Could it be that there is a change of successor? Because they couldn't figure it out. A bunch of side families gathered together and whispered among themselves. And no one could keep their mouths shut. Such a scene made Steve feel anxious. After all, he was also a person who wanted to be shameless. He was always being peeked at and discussed in private. Which made him feel like a girl waiting for a price in the Middle Ages, and he was unbearably shy. Just when the crowd was buzzing, the door to the conference room was suddenly pushed open. The butler who pushed the door immediately withdrew to one side. Then, the proud Simon Rothschild walked in with strong steps. As soon as everyone saw him, they immediately stopped shouting and whispering. Then looked at him intently and saluted him with attention. And it was during this process that everyone discovered that Simon Rothschild was in an especially good mood. This mood was particularly good, just like the state an 18-year-old boy would feel when he walked out of his bedroom the next morning after finishing his graduation prom and having a successful night with his dance partner. It stands to reason that Simon is so old and has so much money to spend. He has eaten, seen, played, and handled everything in the world. Not to mention the old fox, who has long known what it means to be indifferent to emotions and anger. This state of grinning even while walking is really unpredictable. Even the direct members of the Rothschild family were a little puzzled. They didn't know that the old man was already very happy yesterday. Why was he still so excited today? He seemed even more excited than yesterday. What good thing had happened? When Steve saw the old man smiling like a flower, he felt even more panicked. He thought to himself, could this be another breakthrough for the old man? Otherwise, why would he be so excited? At this time, Simon was thinking in his heart. Already excited. The graphics card is done, the data center is also done, and what's left is the data migration of the AI model and its local deployment in Northern Europe. Since the data migration no longer requires any external help. For Simon, it's a good idea for now. All is ready except for the opportunity. Before he came in, he had already communicated with the head of the AI team. As 40,000 graphics cards were about to be put in place and Microsoft's data center was about to be vacated, the possibility of solving the problem within a month had jumped from almost 0 at the beginning to almost 100%. This also indicates that there is less than a month left between him and the half pill.